The budget backlash, the PM refuses to rule out more tax hikes next time, and the big questions over trust. Sir Keir Starmer was on the defensive over the freezing of income tax thresholds, pointing to his plan to lift children out of poverty and pump money into the NHS. But he didn't deny they might have to come back for more.
You can see the stability that's in this budget and the headroom that's in this budget. Obviously, there are difficult headwinds this year.
You can't say for sure it's the last
OBR
tax
review.
rating budget.
Look, we've put in a big headroom in this budget.
Tonight there was another manifesto U-turn as the government bowed to pressure from businesses over its workers' rights legislation. So where does this and the fallout from the last 24 hours leave Labour? Robert will bring us his assessment. Also on the programme tonight. Israeli forces accused of a war crime for shooting dead 2 terror suspects after they'd allegedly surrendered. 200 still missing and at least 83 dead after fire rips through Hong Kong skyscrapers. Debbie has been at the scene. A sharp drop in net migration, but people claiming asylum reaches a record high. Paul will steer us through the figures and... They were his heroes, David Bowie's backing band, bringing his legendary Berlin years back to life.
But there were tracks that actually stand out and have the same effect on me personally as they did when we recorded them.
This is ITV News at 10 with Julie Etchingham.
Good evening. Sir Keir Starmer isn't the first party leader to promise a new type of more open politics. But after the tax rises his Chancellor Rachel Reeves announced in yesterday's budget, we wanted to know whether there will be more to come in future budgets this Parliament. After all, Labour had never mentioned yesterday's or last year's in their election manifesto. The Prime Minister was staying stum on that, refusing to rule them out, saying instead that it was right that everyone makes a contribution. And Robert's here to unpack so much of the noise before, the noise after, but specifically, I know that you want to focus on this black hole that we were warned about in the finances, in the endless noise in the run-up to this budget. In the end, it appears to have vanished, and there are now in its place quite a lot of big questions, not just about the calculations the Chancellor was making, but questions about trust as well. OK, Robert, thank you very much indeed for all of that. Thank you. Now, what appears to be the fatal shooting of 2 unarmed Palestinian men by Israeli soldiers has been caught on camera and provoked outrage across the occupied West Bank where it was filmed. The pictures, which we should warn you we are about to show, suggest the men had surrendered before the soldiers opened fire. The Israeli military said the 2 Palestinians were wanted for throwing explosives at troops and opening fire on them. It says it will investigate. The Hong Kong tower block fires that burned for nearly 2 days are now known to have claimed at least 94 lives. Nearly 300 remain missing. The next job for firefighters is to go from flat to flat in the 7 burned out buildings, looking for survivors or, more likely, bodies. Both Labour and the Conservatives are claiming credit for a big fall in net migration, the difference between people coming to live in the UK and those leaving. Between June last year and June this year, the figure fell to 204,000, just a third of what it was last time. There are many reasons and caveats. Some of them are really interesting. For example, there's been the biggest departure of Brits since the 1920s. Well, Paul is here to take us through all the figures. Paul.
Yeah, and Julie, as ever, with statistics, the devil is in the detail, especially for the government tonight. Now, net migration did fall sharply between June last year and June this year to 204,000, 2/3 lower, but they're still far from their target, Julie, particularly on the most politically troublesome measures. OK, Paul, thank you very much.
The FBI has described the two members of the National Guard who were shot and critically wounded near the White House and of the suspected gunman who did the shooting. The man and woman were in their 20s. The suspect is an Afghan who arrived in 2021 after the Taliban took control in Afghanistan. He was granted asylum this year. He'd driven from West Coast Washington State to East Coast Washington DC ahead of the attack. Still to come on our programme tonight, could the provision of special educational needs teaching be the next battleground for the government? And recapturing the sound and vision of the late great David Bowie with the boys from Berlin.
We brought the music back and presented it in its essence, which is rhythm and joy.
Well, worth staying up a little longer for. Back before you know it. Welcome back. There have been some worried parents and teachers of children with special educational needs and disabilities after budget changes to how their schooling will be funded in the future. Instead of getting council cash, they'll be part of the Department for Education's spending pot like other children. Today, the department denied that would mean a reduction in spending per pupil. A group of famous environmental campaigners say that the fight against global warming needs Second World War levels of leadership. For it to be taken seriously and for the public to understand the level of threat, they want COVID-style government briefings, and the high-profile celebrities are not alone. They have some high-ranking colleagues. Finally, there would have been no David Bowie, not as we knew him, without the input of two of his right-hand men from a key period in his career. Carlos Alomar and George Murray are still going strong, touring together again for the first time in 5 decades. They're reviving the music and the memories of Bowie's Berlin Trilogy albums. It's not over. That is it for tonight. Thanks for staying up. We will see you again tomorrow from all the team. Good night.
Not everywhere will be cold today. Some places will be warm and toasty. Heinz Beans sponsors ITV national weather.
Hello to you again. A mild theme to end the week. Temperatures way higher than just a day or so ago, with highs of 12 or 13 degrees or so.
Heinz Beans sponsors ITV national weather.
Good evening. The day after the budget, and a clearer picture is emerging of how the richest and poorest in the capital will be impacted. In Tower Hamlets, banking giant JP Morgan said Canary Wharf would be home to its new UK headquarters, but in its shadow are the small businesses and those on minimum wage. Our political correspondent Simon Harris reports. A Michelin-starred restaurant in West London says hundreds of pounds worth of seafood was stolen from its doorstep. They exposed the alleged thief on social media, showing a woman taking off with the goods. Rags Martell reports. Well, next, and Bowie the chatbot is on call for Thames Valley Police. It's become one of the first forces in the country to trial an AI virtual assistant where the public can ask non-emergency questions. Carolyn Sim explains all. Weather time now, here's James.
Octopus Energy sponsors ITV London weekday weather, come rain or shine.
Hi there, good evening. After a mainly cloudy day today, all eyes on that low for Saturday. Night night.
Octopus Energy sponsors ITV London weekday weather.
And that is all for now. We're back first thing in Good Morning Britain with bulletins from 6 a.m. Until then, from everyone on the late team, a very good night to you.